Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Show with Charlie Armour and Angie McLean. Join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter at Studio Burrow.
All right, so it's Wednesday again, Charlie.
This
Today,
is our fourth episode.
Yeah, our fourth episode, and today we're joined by Jonathan. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, pretty good.
I had a
good.
slight cough, but I'm good. No, I'm
Do
good.
you stay away from me?
You're a goner.
This is
I was
it.
gonna shake your hands as well. Oh well.
Well,
Yeah, like
well,
our president did. I mean, not your president, but my president.
Yeah.
Did you
Oh
see?
my. Yeah.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
his big press announcement. He brought out the leaders of industry and then immediately started shaking all their hands and hugging them.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, he's 100% healthy.
Is he?
Yeah, his cholesterol level looks completely in control.
Mine.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
what's inside that counts, not what he looks like outside.
So our prime minister, like Canada, so the wife of the prime minister was diagnosed with it. She had a confirmed case, but the actual prime minister was healthy. So
That gives me tons of questions about their relationship.
exactly.
Because immediately I'm like, wait, she's got it, but he doesn't? How close are they?
A good relationship means you got the coronavirus. That's why I see it.
I
Yeah,
would
you-
yeah.
If one
you
has
don't
it, the
have-
other has it.
I think you should just safely assume. So what Trudeau should actually start doing is testing the other men in his cabinet, or the
Yeah.
ones who
Oh, yeah.
keep
Oh,
close distance to his wife, because I think that's how you find out what's really been going on. You know,
yeah.
I think
I know.
I think that's the most pertinent thing that could be happening right now. He wants to possibly close the borders with the U.S., but I think the
Yeah.
more important question right now is, wait, where'd you get that from? Because it wasn't the dog. Dogs don't carry it, and it wasn't from me.
So
Who have you been squeezing up against?
I
Yeah.
know.
So, I think just before we started, probably like an hour before we started, I think it was confirmed that non-essential travel, like the borders have been closed for US and Canada.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
And that's where are you, Andrew?
I'm Prince Edward Island, so I'm in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, you're not getting it ever.
Connected by a bridge. We have one confirmed case, and 130 tested, I believe, is the last count.
When did you guys light that one confirmed case on fire? How did that go over? When you guys lit him up?
No,
like the thing?
apparently she is at home.
Uh-huh.
She returned from a cruise.
You
and
don't
then-
say.
And then everybody that was on the same flight has been contacted, apparently.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
in North Korea, there was a case of someone coughing, and they just shot him.
Really?
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, get out of here with that.
Yeah, that's true. They just thought shoot him.
I was in
That's how
I
you
was in the
sort out.
airport last week. I was in the airport and I was flying from Austin to Los Angeles, and I was rushing to eat before my flight, and I was eating like a freaking pig super fast, and I started choking on my food. And usually when you choke on your food, you look around and the people around you, they look concerned for your welfare.
Yeah.
I looked around and everybody immediately looked like they were concerned for their welfare just because I was choking on food from not chewing like an adult. And the looks on their faces ranged from "get away from him, son, he's infected" to "I'm going to light him on fire." it was pretty scary, and I realized that was going to
burn him down.
it was gonna be the stupidest way to die. It was
I know.
choking to death because I didn't chew my food properly
I know. That's why.
During a
I was
pandemic.
during a
drink-
pandemic.
Yeah, I was drinking, and then I felt like, oh no, it's gone down the wrong way. I don't want to cough. Don't want
Yeah.
to cough. Just take it.
Anytime that you're in public, not saying that you should go out right now, but do not,
I'm.
for the life of you, do not choke on food. Because
Just don't do
No,
it.
nobody's going
I
to
can
save you.
understand. I can
No.
understand people who die of choking. It's understandable if there's not a doctor or anybody who can perform the Heimlich maneuver, or if the Heimlich remover is what I should call it,
Yeah.
or somebody was like, "Do you know how to throw yourself against the table to give yourself the Heimlich?" And okay. I understand the people who every year naturally die of choking hazards. Little
Yeah.
kids, adults, everyone. But I'm doing it during a pandemic, and luckily I was able to get it clean because just the looks on their faces was pretty haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I suppose you got to make jokes as well, because otherwise, Jesus Christ.
Charlie,
Yeah.
you're in a wheelchair. If we were if you started choking,
I
how would
believe
we
so.
do it? Like
The
how
last time I checked.
Last time I
how,
checked,
how would we perform the Heimlich?
you went. You just let me die. You know, it's like World
no.
War II. Just
No,
shoot me in the head.
I had to
No.
do first aid training, and they actually went through how you do that.
How do they
but
do it then without actually?
Unfortunately, I forget.
Oh
Oh,
shit!
Oh, thank you, Andrew. So you'd kill me.
No.
Well,
I'd
I
give
mean,
it a
not
shot.
intentionally.
I'd give it a shot, but then
Basically, I've got to do it on myself.
there's no
No.
guarantee.
Hmm. No guarantee. All right. Well, I'm glad I'm in good company if I actually do choke.
I would give it a shot. I would slap your back, and
What?
in doing so, potentially heal you.
So you'd slap my back.
I mean, isn't that like the go-to? Is
So
it's
if
just
you were the
start
two
smacking
people
the
that
hell
had
out
to
of
help
people's
me,
back?
Well, I think
There's a reason
the
I haven't tried to heal
I-
your spine.
I'm basically in the shitter. Basically, that's it. That's it. I'm done.
Charlie, I'd give it a good go with my limited skill set, but it is very limited.
Very limited as well. All it is slapping my back.
yeah, eventually it'll get either wedged further down or push itself up.
Okay, here's what I would do. I would throw you against myself and burp you like a baby.
Very nice.
Do you think that would work?
What if you get the coronavirus?
I don't care about the coronavirus. I'm trying to save my friend Charlie. Like, if you're choking to death, the mortality rate on that is really high. Me and coronavirus. I'm already a loner, Dottie. I'm a rebel. Like, I don't need to be hanging out with other people.
You know what? That's how I'm actually enjoying it. It's been antisocial.
Yeah,
It's
It's the
how
best
social
time.
were we to begin with?
I
That's the,
know.
question, that's the question I have. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, social distancing." I'm like, how
Look at all
social
the-
were any of you who I know sit on fucking Facebook all day? Stop it. Stop
I know.
acting like you were
I'm
that.
always on Facebook, as you know.
I see your tweets. You guys are here all day. You're not social at all. You're walking around with your face in your phones.
It's because I'm disabled. I can't get out. That's my excuse.
The only thing that this pandemic is saving you guys from at this point is getting hit by cars when you have your face in your phone walking across a street. That's what I think.
Ooh. Okay. But now
I mean,
you can't.
or not walking across the street. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm rolling across the street. Or should I say choke? Because I'm trying to find someone to help me.
to help you
'Cause
because
I'm
your
joking.
friends can't help you.
Yeah, there's someone who just slapped my back, and there's someone is forgotten how to do it.
I would be flipping through the first aid book trying to find the page that talks about people choking in wheelchairs.
And as you find it, I'm already dead.
Oh,
sorry.
here it is.
I'm
Here it is.
sorry.
Here it is. Oh wait, Charlie?
Chad, where is he? Oh well. At least I'll be free then. Oh well. Thank you.
So
Thanks to people like you.
So it's been 1 week since our last podcast, and it's already like things have blown up. Last week, the NHL wasn't closed. The what do you call it? Premier League? Is what you call it?
English Premier League, that
Yeah.
wasn't closed.
That wasn't closed.
And the NBA wasn't closed.
NBA
Those
wasn't
are our
closed.
3 favorite sports, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, that I enjoy
What's your sport? What's your sport?
Yeah, what-
That would be the NBA.
NBA.
Yeah?
Yeah,
The
NBA.
epicenter of this virus was my actual favorite team,
Yeah.
the Utah Jazz.
Oh yeah, they.
That's my favorite team, and my favorite, the only ones that were confirmed from the team.
Really.
Yeah, yep. Those 2 players are my favorite players.
So
and,
they were
that's my
playing my favorite team a few nights before that, and one of the players, I forget who it was about.
Are you talking about the Detroit Pistons?
No, I'm talking about Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they there was one player who was like started getting an argument and kind of getting into his face, and then another player held him back.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, he just saved your life, dude!" Like,
Have you seen how big Rudy Gobert is? I'm pretty sure that would have ended a lot
Yeah,
faster
that-
than the virus
that
taking care
would.
of him.
The new NBA game will be quite short, especially in career mode.
yeah,
Yeah,
It'll
have
be
you
like
seen-
you'll be like, yeah, you got a basket. Oh yeah, look. And then next week, the coronavirus
have
season
you seen
over.
that some of the social media teams on in the NBA have started to play each other in NBA 2K to continue the season?
really, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
do
posting
know-
the results, and the Suns are still losing.
That's what they're doing with football. They're trying to like, why don't they all just play FIFA and finish it off?
One of the sports broadcasters I usually listen to, he has been playing the NHL season, like his own NHL season in NHL 20.
Yeah,
And-
I don't know really what to do except you revisit all those old games that you bought on Steam that you never played through.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Well,
know we're hoarders when it comes to Steam games. I've got a load of them that I just don't even bother.
I still need to go
Collect
to
them.
work. I'm still required to go to work.
What do you do, Andrew?
I work at a gas station.
Okay, so how dirty are those pump handles?
Pretty dirty. Well, we
Yeah.
sanitize them, so it's
All
not.
all I'm glad is I'm glad I'm not near you, Andrew. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Maybe that's why. That's why my voice is deep today. It's because I actually have it.
What I've been doing is I've been going back to those old games that I didn't finish and some of the old comic books that I have been stockpiling against my wall because there's always a tier system with the comics that you read. There's the must reads immediately, and then there's the ones that you read secondarily, and then there are the ones that you kind of compile for a little bit until they basically become several trade paperbacks worth of issues, and then you just tear through them all at once in kind of a binge viewing, binge reading kind of style.
Yeah.
So I have bags of comics that I bought over the last 3-4 years that are now several storylines through, and I'm just starting to read through those. And in addition, I'm starting to get back to the game halfway through and you finish because either it becomes redundant or you get distracted by another game that's released. So
Yeah.
I'm playing back to the Switch Link's Awakening right now and really enjoying the simplicity of an earlier time.
So
I know.
heading back to comics, what would be, I guess, your genre of choice? Are you more of like superhero, or are you like fantasy comics, or like what's?
I think the
what's-
things that I've been reading right now is I always read the Marvel stuff. A lot of the
Okay.
Marvel books. I'm a big Marvel fan. DC is just not very consistent at the moment. They just fired their publisher.
Okay.
One of their publishers, co-publisher, and I never could connect with a lot of their characters. I always feel like the characters beyond it always comes down to writing, and if you can't get the hook of the character, and Marvel has this problem too, if it's not resonating, it's not resonating, and sometimes I feel like their older characters come from the Golden Age characters come from a time where comics were a bit more sensational and the characters had to be a little less human than we had the 1960s Marvel characters. So I relate a little better with the Marvel comics. But there's a ton of indie books that I love. So I try and mix it up a little bit. There's a fantasy book called Birthright that I read from Image. There's so kind of a Southern Gothic book called Harrow County that Dark Horse puts out that I really enjoy. So there's all sorts of different genres in comics, and the shame is that unless you're reading digitally, you probably shouldn't go to your comic store right now.
Yeah, not
Call
right
ahead,
now.
get them to bring the comics to the. I was actually thinking, I was like, do I go to my comic book store and have them bring the comics to the curb?
Yeah, exactly.
What
Well,
about
you know.
What about like ebooks, like e-readers? Could you
There-
do
Yeah,
that?
those are great. I think that's how Ian Kerner reads comics now. Ian co-hosts some of my episodes with me whenever we talk about a big movie release or anything on Geekscape, and I think Ian, because of space issues, Ian recently got married and had to start cohabitating with another human being, and that meant he had to start being a lot more strategic with his space
Yeah.
because the collection goes back to the early 70s or beyond. he has every issue of Spider-Man. He has like all these incredible collections, and it just became burdensome. He can't do that while cohabitating with another human being. I think that my comics were, big reason I got divorced. So maybe we should all be going digital pretty soon.
Hey, I've still got all my collection of games, so I enjoy that. That's my hobby.
You're
Yeah.
talking about you have them collected in their cases, right? You were talking about physical copies of your games, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about handhelds and
Yeah.
tabletop games
So
as well.
Yeah.
So
my
I
only
love-
big collection I have, and we talked about this last episode. The only collection I have is records, like physical records.
That's a good collection to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah,
that is.
it's slowly growing. Like I've got this cube organizer that I got from Walmart, and it only has one of the 8 sections filled. So
Okay, so did you buy the cube organizer? You get it all
Yeah.
as 8 pieces, or you can buy one piece and then continue to add to it.
no, it's like it's one section, like one full thing.
Uh-huh.
It's not like
And how
separate.
does it deal with 45s or 7 inches? The smaller records.
Yeah, you'd need to put like a bin inside of it to
Okay.
hold those. Yeah, but it's perfect
Okay.
size for the 12-inch.
All right. The notes for the future, because between Austin, where I grew up and
Yeah.
had a bunch of records, and my storage unit, and then now continue to buy records on the internet, like I haven't compiled my records all at once in one place, and I don't really know what it would look like. So knowing that Target has like a cube organizer is really helpful.
Yeah.
I have another record, a double LP, coming in the mail, I think today or tomorrow.
Cool.
So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they're still delivering them.
yeah, the Amazon.
It's shipped. We'll see if they
Yeah.
bring it to the door.
So Charlie asked me a question last episode, and I'm gonna ask you the same one. If you were stuck, well, I guess we all are kind of stuck in quarantine, what would be, I think he asked for what, 7
Yeah,
seven,
we'll just
7 artists that you would repeatedly listen to.
Oh, music-wise?
Yeah.
I don't spend a whole lot of time just listening to music if I'm not being active.
Yeah.
Usually I listen to music, driving in the car, running, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But the easy one is Mr. T Experience. That's my
Okay.
favorite band.
Yeah.
From the Mr. T Experience, I'm gonna say Green Day. Not that much different,
Yeah.
but
Green Day is
So-
good. I enjoy.
my friends in Punchline, who did the Geekscape theme song, I would definitely throw
Cool.
them on there.
Cool.
Less Than Jake has to be in there. Less Than Jake is I recently had their lead singer Krista Makes on, and their lead guitarist on Geekscape. They've been
Awesome.
I've been listening to them for almost 30 years. Okay, we're down to it, and I know that I'm going to start upsetting friends and other bands, but I'm going to go with 2 Austin bands, and this is a pretty limited kind of genre of music. I'm really only listing rock bands and punk bands,
Punk, yeah.
but I'm going to go with Dynamite Boy from Austin, Texas, and the Impossibles from Austin, Texas, because that will kick the memory nerves into gear, and I'll start thinking about way back when, and it'll be like transporting me when I'm stuck in a quarantine as I am now. So I'm going to go full nostalgia and go back to those 2 bands from Austin.
Very nice.
And then I have one more, and I think I'm going to use this last one. Oh man, I'm gonna want to throw my radio after a while, because some of this music, after a while, there's only so much you can listen to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with I'm probably gonna go with a rebel country artist like Merle Haggard, and just say, okay,
Cool.
I'm gonna go with somebody like Merle Haggard or somebody like Chris Christopherson, who can write really good songs. They're really catchy songs, and they're whiling away the day type of songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if you listen to like Chris Christopherson's music, it's just kind of like you want to just kick your feet up and just pass the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll go with those guys.
Good.
Those are my
Some
7.
good choices in there.
That's a variation of stuff there. Yeah, I like that.
Mine was a lot less.
Mine was so typical.
Yeah, same with mine. I think mine included like Neil Young, Pink Floyd. I think I had in there something like that. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Well,
the
you're not gonna have
Beatles.
classics.
The Beatles. Yeah, I had the Beatles in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm close to saying Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis.
I'm
I
really
would.
close to saying Elvis. But like, I always feel like my favorite Elvis is the later part of Elvis, is Vegas
Okay.
Elvis, the part that was like tragic Elvis.
Yeah.
And because I like tragic Elvis and kind of not the rock and roll Elvis stuff, which is fine. The rock and roll Elvis stuff is good. I like the sloppy Elvis. and
You want the slow ballad sort of.
yeah, I want the Suspicious Minds Elvis, and
You
that
want a
Elvis.
tear going down your face, don't you?
Yeah, and that Elvis is a little closer to like a Neil Diamond, and that Elvis is a little closer to those artists I talked about. You know what I mean? Those Vegas kind of guys. So, yeah, I could listen to Rhinestone Cowboy and those guys. You know, that whole genre of AM radio hits from like the late '70s, mid '70s, like that whole kind of run would be a lot of fun. I just close my eyes and picture them in a 18-wheeler crossing across the great US of A before the pandemic. Maybe that's the solution. I get an 18-wheeler, I kick open like a bunch of 4-track, and then
Because you got to think you're going to listen to these artists like for a long time.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. You're gonna be
You got
there
to vary it.
at least 2 weeks.
No, not longer than that. Just say.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you specifically said quarantine. You know,
Oh,
but
yeah, I guess.
if we're actually talking about the apocalypse, this is also a really good soundtrack for killing and hunting and gathering and murder and mayhem, which it also might be on the menu. So,
what about
having
classical?
a Mad Max movie to like the theme of a bunch of Neil Diamond music? I'd watch that. That'd be hilarious.
Oh yeah, I would have classical music to do my killings.
Yeah,
I just imagine like Rhinestone Cowboy playing, and you're just like taking people out with a sledgehammer.
I think I would go with like some of the Fallout soundtrack, because I just feel like anytime I hear Fallout, like any of that kind of music, it immediately brings me back to like post-apocalyptic, going through.
I thought you were going to say killing people.
Ruined world. No.
He lives on an island for a reason.
Yes. Away from everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and you brought up the point a few minutes ago there that it would be like songs that you would listen to in an 18-wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of made me remember whenever I used to play Euro Truck Simulator, like a long time ago, like it was like years ago, with my buddies, and we figured out that there was a way to actually take MP3s and put them into the game, and you could like turn on your radio and listen to them. So we found like
that's amazing.
We would find like the biggest country songs that we could find, and just be rolling down the road listening to
that's just insane. The fact that there are truck simulators that in real time, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't get into the new wave of truck simulators, and I'll tell you that it is a new wave of truck simulators that you experience, because I think I'm older than you guys by about 10 or so years, and when I was in elementary school, there was a really lo-fi like Commodore 64 or one of those early 90s computers, that there was a truck simulator that I remember playing with a neighbor on his computer and it was similar, where it was semi-real time, and they had MIDI like music they sounded like sound-alikes, so you'd have a song like Nashville, Tennessee, but it would be in MIDI and like MIDI music.
They used to do that, didn't they? They used to have real music in games, and back then no one cared about it, so you could hear that tunes to the Beatles on one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
And
a
they
um,
would
platform.
just make songs, and they would make MIDI versions of them and put them into games without
but
any
I
care
think
for the licensing.
Bomb Jack. I think they had it on that. The
yeah,
Beatles.
and also it isn't really that old of a game, but Mother Earth, I believe it
Mhm.
was, that they
Yeah.
had a bunch of Beatles songs like in their actual soundtrack, like mixed in, because the creator
just had
really enjoyed it.
the Geekscape episode that I just posted is with this guy Ralph D'Amato, who was a producer on the Tony Hawk games, and we were talking pretty extensively about how iconic those Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtracks
Oh
were.
yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. If you guys want to hear it, it's on the Geekscape feed. It's literally the episode I just posted,
Nice.
and we talk a lot about putting together that soundtrack and then the issues of licensing that music, because they're making
Yeah.
a Tony Hawk documentary on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, and some of that music actually can't be included at this point. Because
Because they're
they did-
licensed.
yeah, so they have to license that music for games, and then you go into issues like some of the skaters that were in the game had sponsorship deals with different companies, and the
Okay,
logos
yeah.
are in the game, but those
Oh.
sponsorship deals have now expired. So if somebody was to emulate those games and bring them onto like a PS5 or the next Xbox, how would you couldn't just straight emulate the game. You'd have to go in and recustomize the music and some of the artwork.
They just wouldn't do it. I'm guessing they just wouldn't put it on
I
there.
think that's the reason a lot of those games that we want to be re-released still
Yeah.
haven't been re-released. I'm still waiting on Mario Sunshine though, so come on, bastards. There's
So-
no reason. There's
I
no
still
reason
haven't-
Mario
I still
Sunshine
haven't
has
finished
not
that
been re-released. Mario Sunshine is like one of those games when you first realize that you can get across the bay to like those additional worlds, like that one where you ride around on that King Koopa roller coaster. You're like, wow, this game is huge, and I'm done with it. You know what I mean? Like Mario
Aw.
Sunshine. Mario Sunshine is the game that kind of, when it came out on the GameCube, everybody was like, wait, that's the Mario game we have? Mario with a water pack, and he like floats around and stuff, and like puts
Why
out
not?
fire.
Why not? Why not?
But if you play Mario Sunshine on a GameCube, and I kept the GameCube specifically for Mario Sunshine, it deserves an emulation as much as Zelda Wind Waker did. It deserves to be up-resed and
It's
re-released.
kind of like
Mario
Luigi,
Sunshine
Mhm.
is really
Luigi's
good.
Mansion, isn't it? The way.
Yeah,
So-
Luigi's Mansion has had 2 sequels. It had a sequel on the 3DS. It now has a third game on the Switch. Luigi's Mansion off the GameCube has had 2 sequels. Mario Sunshine, you can argue there's been more Mario games, of course, but Mario Sunshine specifically had some really cool game mechanics you haven't seen in any other Mario game. And no,
Wow.
not going to release it. It's probably my number one most wanted re-released game is Mario Sunshine. Let's start a petition.
We should.
We
Only
should do.
because back
We
to
might as well
retro games.
start it now.
Yeah, that's what happened to Link's Awakening for like the last 2-3 days. Is I'm playing Link's Awakening, the Game Boy game, re-up-res for the Switch, and I'm really enjoying it.
You know, I wanted to say last week, but because what would be your wow, like when you first saw a game, what would be the wow thing you first saw? Like for me, Doom, when I
Yeah.
first saw that, for example.
Yeah, Doom was definitely like a crap a brick kind of game, because it came out and then like Descent was a little bit later. But
What impressed you? What game impressed you when you were younger? Like really?
it was right before that. It was Wolfenstein 3D, because I remember all those old Apogee games like Commander Keen and Wolfenstein, but those were 2D games that were platformers. And you get into those 2D platforming games because you played Mario Brothers as a kid, and like you've been playing Mario Brothers since 1985, and you're playing it on your NES. And then so that kind of leads you when your dad brings home a PC and you start playing PC games, you just generally gravitate to the similar games that Apogee was putting out as shareware, which were those Commander Keen, Wolfenstein side scrollers. And then suddenly there's a new Wolfenstein game, and you can't wait to call into the BBS and start downloading it. And you have to download it in pieces, and then when you finally get all the pieces together and you can start the game up, it's in 3D. It's insane. And you're actually walking through Castle Wolfenstein and fighting Nazis. And the shareware version ended on that first level when you open up the door and there's the boss and he has those two Gatling guns,
Yeah.
and then you hear his voice, and that was so new for a game in like what 91, 92, 90, to hear somebody's voice go Guten Tag, and then he just starts going and like shooting you with his gun. And you just, I mean, I was just like, holy shit, I'm gonna die, and I did die.
I know. But then you get the full version, and you're like fighting a Hitler, a robot Hitler.
Robot fucking Hitler. Like that, I would have to say it was like Wolfenstein really like blew me away when I was a kid.
Technically, it's not
That
3D, but it's really well done how they did it.
It was amazing, and then of course when Doom comes out, you're ready for it. And Doom was just on a different level graphically and speed wise. It was a faster game, but I loved it. Wolfenstein was definitely that one where I noticed a leap for me, or maybe Super Mario World when the Super Nintendo came out, and just being like, whoa, this is insanity. I get impressed by these things, like the small things. Like I liked it when I walked away from Sonic for a few seconds and Sonic starts tapping his foot. You know, like I'm easy to impress.
Well, you look back on Sonic now, and it's still good. It's still a really good game.
Those first three, and I'll say four. I'll throw Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles in, even though it's roughly like a bonus levels to Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like it was that add-on that you could put the cartridge into. I would say that those three Sonic games, in Sonic CD was great too. Like
yeah, they said that's the best version.
That's the version
Sonic,
I played.
Like Sonic CD was just awesome, and the fact that there were three versions of each level. There was a medium version, there was a bad version, and then there was a good version, depending on how many animals you rescued, that you could affect the future levels. So if you really kind of didn't save anybody in the first level, by the time you got to the next level, it was a little more polluted. There were more, the bad guys were a little meaner, and you realize that in time traveling, your effects your actions in the past affected the future. That was like the coolest thing for me, is seeing that the levels actually changed depending on how many little animals I saved and how much I protected the past. It was cool.
Wow.
Super cool.
I don't even know that.
Oh really? Yeah, Sonic CD had like
yeah.
I remember this correctly. Sonic CD, depending, how you like whenever you kill the bad guys, little animals pop out and you have to save the animals. Like depending on how well you did in the past in the level, whenever you went to the future, it was either more polluted or less polluted, and it was pretty awesome. you either helped the past or you didn't, which is something we're doing now. Did you guys see that article that the canals in Venice are now completely clear?
Really?
And you can see the bottom, and fish and ducks and swans have returned to the canals of Venice because people aren't walking around throwing their shit in the water.
Well, that's almost like whenever I forget what place it was. It was somewhere that there was a nuclear disaster. Now it's just like completely.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, I think it might have been Chernobyl. It's just completely overgrown now and like there's areas where it was heavily industrial. And now it's just completely overgrown.
In Japan, when the reactor blew in Japan, you know how that entire area and it's cordoned off, but like a pandemic, animals don't really know borders.
Yeah.
So now you have pigs that have escaped from nearby farms, or some of the farms had to be abandoned, and they left some of their wild stock, and now you have these pigs, and the pigs that are farm pigs become feral really quickly. Like within a matter of months, they revert back to having tusks and a little bit huskier hair, and they become wild pigs again.
Yeah.
And now they're radioactive. Yeah. Now they're hanging around the reactor, and they're rooting around. They're eating stuff. And there was an article a couple of years ago, and now you have radioactive pigs running around like northern Japan. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think the apocalypse might actually be cleaner. Everybody's talking about this toxic waste, like apocalypse. I think if you're really only getting rid of the majority of humans, you're actually looking at a cleaner planet. Not one.
Pigs,
know what I mean? Like
pigs are actually flying at this time.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with mutated pigs. You're gonna end up with like wildlife. Yeah, you're gonna. You know what's crazy is that we're all talking about. Oh man, when the apocalypse happens, and I remember doing this for Dock of the Dead. We did a documentary a few years ago for
Yeah.
Epics, and Geekscape was a co-producer on it. And I would go around and interview these preppers, which seems really pertinent now.
Yeah.
So I'm interviewing all these preppers, and they're talking about like the need for clean drinking water and how important that stuff is, and how much you should be storing, and especially now that people are quarantining themselves and they're hoarding toilet paper and stuff. So they kept talking about how you need clean drinking water, clean drinking water, clean drinking water, and when I see a story like the Venice canals being clean for the first time in years because people are suddenly not going out and throwing their stuff in them,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna have clean drinking water. It's gonna be natural water.
Yeah, like we'll just start.
The apocalypse. Yeah, less humans to fucking dirty stuff up. We're gonna be great. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
I know,
Mother
this-
Nature's gonna take
This
over
is the
really
planet.
fast.
Yeah, this is the planet saying "fuck you, fuck you."
Totally, absolutely. Quit eating our pangolins.
When
Quit
there's,
eating our bastard
I know
pangolins.
there's these right wings with their guns as well, thinking, "Oh no, they're doing this will do nothing."
Yeah,
the
yeah. Well, what's crazy is that I live in California, obviously fairly liberal, and even our gun stores are starting to have a lot of people out the doors. People are starting to get a little worried.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little itchy. Got to
Well-
protect my toilet paper.
Well, even Timmy's in Canada, Tim Hortons,
Mhm.
closing all all their dining rooms have been closed. They're only drive-through.
And I've been to Tim Hortons. I've been to Canada a few times, and Tim
Yeah.
Hortons, it's just like a roast beef type place. It's like an Arby's. Like, what is the equivalent, do you think, in the U.S. of a Tim Hortons?
Like, I don't even know.
I mean, can you get other things than like a hamburger?
Well, no, you can't really even get a hamburger there.
Like, what do they serve? Because it's kind of insane that it'd be like closing McDonald's here. People are like, oh
yeah,
no, I can't get that.
it's most like what do you guys call that? Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
It's like a
Okay,
coffee shop
so-
where you can get like breakfast foods and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd go for donuts.
Hey, and in the Twitch chat, Gregors is here and Krasenstein are both here. Hey,
Hey,
it's these guys. And yeah, so Gregors, we're just doing a podcast here.
Do you want us to play a game? Okay.
Want to play a game?
Yeah.
Would you like to play a game?
So Charlie is here, Charlie Armour. He's our music producer for Rabbit Hole Studios. I'm here, and we're joined by guest Jonathan. So that's
Yeah.
all who are here right now.
That's what we're doing.
We're just
Yeah,
chatting
I
about
think
everything.
what are the things that you guys are missing? What are the things that you guys are missing with the social distancing that you guys are enacting? And we're all in 3 different countries. So we've got, obviously, Charlie's in the UK, you're in Canada, and I'm in the US. How far is the social distancing going on with you guys?
So here, it isn't really that bad. So we only have one case, and we're
Oh, yeah, you
pretty-
live on an island. You're
Yeah,
already socially
we have a
distanced.
pretty small area to kind of
Yeah.
do our thing. So if it had have hit worse than that one person, right now we don't even know how bad it hit because out of the 120 that have been tested, there's only been one.
Yeah, it takes around 2 weeks or something to actually
So
know.
yeah, so for all we know, it could just be like mass like pandemic right now, but people
Sure.
aren't going to the hospital. Like there's not a lot of people who are really getting sick around here. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I guess people here aren't really worried as much, but they should be.
They're not taking it seriously enough.
Yeah.
Here, on
because,
the
like-
other hand, they're taking it too seriously, and they're panicking, and they're just collecting what they can, and
Yeah,
forgetting
like,
about everyone else.
They're still collecting things here. Like they're still going in and buying like 17 rolls or packages of toilet paper. But
Wow.
then you get like people who come into the gas station and for lottery tickets, and it's like, shouldn't you be at home? Like,
Are they gonna
Yeah.
wipe their ass with the lottery ticket or
I
something?
guess so. Like, I don't know. Do they expect the offices to be open where you collect your lottery winnings? But like,
Well, how are the testings going in your countries? Because here in the U.S., like there just aren't any tests, and so the people who are getting tested, I
We're-
think, are people who are showing
We're
signs.
we're
Those aren't
emulating the
necessarily
US
people
at
who
the
are-
moment.
Oh God, don't do that.
so here, what the process is: we have a phone number that you call if you believe you have symptoms. They book you in for an appointment. You stay in your car. They come out to your car. They do a swab, and then they
Uh-huh.
send you home and tell you to isolate yourself.
Wow.
And
That's
Well-
exactly what they're saying here. Like,
and then
you got-
they call you up if you've been infected. They call you up and they pretty much tell you if your symptoms get worse, then contact them again, and then they'll get you into an actual like.
and unless
place.
you've got money and a celebrity, you're just gonna have to just stay in the house.
Well, here you don't even need money. Like, it's like, if you need to go into the hospital, go into the hospital. Just don't infect
Right.
other people.
Right. Here in the U.S., you need the money. We do not have
Yeah.
a social health care system like you guys do.
Well, we're barely got it here right now. It's like the nurses, the doctors, they're running out of resources. So, and the government have put money in finally, but it's just it's not for the right things. It's more for business. So,
And in the Twitch chat, Jord says it sounds amazing. The whole social healthcare. It is pretty amazing. Like, I'm very appreciative of being able to just be able to go into the hospital if I need to,
Yeah.
and come out and not be in like
I know.
huge
I
amounts
was-
of debt.
I think it was 2 years ago. I was in the US and I got the shingles, and I couldn't go back home.
Yeah.
And they gave me medicine, and it cost like nearly £300.
Are you
Oh my
serious?
gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the
Don't
guy
tell me-
did give me some medicine free because he knew that I didn't really have the
Yeah.
money to do it.
Right.
I was like, I had no choice. I couldn't get on the plane. I was in too much pain.
So I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw a picture on Reddit, and it was like this guy's hospital stay in Chicago, I think it was, and they gave him one haul in a like plastic like bubble wrap, or what do you call those, bubble packages or something like that.
Mhm.
And it was like, at the end of his hospital stay, he looked at the bill, and it was $10 for that haul, one haul,
You're talking about like a
cough
cough
drops.
drop.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
that's insane.
yeah.
Guys, don't come to the U.S.
Like, I'm only saying haul,
Hopefully we can
haul and
post
not
something
cough
else.
drop because it was like a branded haul in the
No.
in the
Well,
package.
you know,
And
Off-
what's the deal
off-
with Joe Biden as well? I have to know this.
I-
What-
Joe.
why is everyone going with Joe Biden?
Well, I mean, you have a Democratic Party that works. I mean, as well as it can. They all know each other. They've known each other going back 30, 40 years. And Bernie is a part of that party, but Bernie's been an independent. So it's Democrats
But the thing is, it's happening
kind of
like
protecting their own system. Yeah.
it's happening like Jeremy Corbyn.
do you mean?
They're smearing Biden with all sorts, and I think he's the best choice for the US. I'm just saying that, my opinion. Could be
Well,
wrong.
I mean, a Folgers crystal can full of feces would be a better choice than what we have in there right now.
I know, but that's
so-
the thing. That's what you're going for. Anyone can be better than just Trump, but don't you want someone that's that can actually help the country?
Yeah, I mean, I voted for Elizabeth Warren, so let's not blame me for this. But who knows? I mean, supposedly the pressure is on Biden to pick a female VP. And if that's an Amy Klobuchar, then that's an Amy Klobuchar. Elizabeth Warren, it just comes down to whether or not she can get along with them and work. But my problems with Bernie is that everything that he says is great, but his track record doesn't say that he's pulled any of it off.
But the thing is, at least you'll get free massages.
Yeah, I just don't. You know what? I love the idea of having a healthcare system like Andrew has in Canada, but you still have to get this thing through, and then you still have to
Yeah.
completely overhaul a system that's been in place since at least the 70s. And how's that going to work?
Exactly.
You know, I love the idea of free college tuition. How's that going to work when we have a system in place? You know, and the problem is that this car, you know, the wheels came off of it a long time ago, and now we're trying to put the wheels back on. But it is so far down the road that it's just not even the same place. So
Yeah.
American capitalism has led us to this point, and I don't know how we go back. I would love the idea of social health, of universal health care. I love the idea.
It's
of
all
this,
well.
but
It's all well
how are you gonna push it
talking
through in
about it.
4 years. How are you going to push it through?
Yeah.
That's why
So-
Trump needs another 4 and another 4 and another 4 for the post-apocalypse to really happen. This pandemic is only the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So George in the Twitch chat says, I don't know how we can sustain what we have in the U.S.
Yeah, it's not. We're seeing right now that it's not sustainable. We're all getting sick, and I mean, granted, it doesn't help when you eliminate a lot of the CDC and pandemic.
Well, the thing is,
response.
they want to make
First-
they want to get rid of the NHS here as well, and they want it privatized. So
Yeah. Well, you know, you guys have your own problem with nationalism. You know, just don't vote for blonde dudes who look super unhealthy, whose
I
hair is all
don't.
wispy. They look pasty. You know, here's the thing. Here's the one thing. This is going to sound terrible, but this pandemic, the people that it's affecting are their voters. You know, the same people who voted for Brexit and they're voting for Trump. I've heard the people call I've heard them call the coronavirus the boomer remover.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
Yeah.
Basically, Boris got it, and he got his voters, which are quite a lot older, and now he's killing off the older ones that voted for him. That's
So
what it seems like.
So, George says.
I'm reading what George
okay,
says.
perfect. Yeah. So he's just saying U.S. is screwed. We'll have to choose between 2 confirmed liars.
Yeah, who's not a liar at this point? You know what I mean? Because
literally
you can really
most
you can throw
politicians.
you can throw the term liar at anybody. You can say that. I mean, let's say let's just go ahead and put Elizabeth Warren, my number one choice. Let's put her in office, and she's promised us all on the campaign trail. She's promised us all, or throw Bernie in there, George. You throw either of them in there, and they're talking about their universal health care, and they're talking about how they're going to eliminate student loans, and then it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because the system's not set up for it to happen, and they've got 4 years to push it through. 2 years with a Senate that isn't in their favor. So assholes like Mitch McConnell, they're not going to let it go through, and then suddenly they're liars too. So Elizabeth Warren, who's a career politician, who's not a career politician, she's actually, you know, she was teaching law school. I know it doesn't make them a liar, George, but it does make them completely ineffective. And Bernie has a record of ineffectiveness. He's an independent who has not been able to play the game, and now he wants to play the game as a Democratic nominee, but they don't want to play with him. They're like, dude, you weren't on our team for a while. Like you don't know. Well, you're not part of this, and you know it stinks because I voted for Bernie over Hillary in the primaries back in 2016. 2015, and you know I was a Bernie person, but looking at the track record since, you know, what's he done? You know, so that's why I put my vote in Elizabeth Warren.
I don't know what could he do if he was president. That's the thing.
What can any of these people
Exactly.
do? You know, let's say Biden miraculously.
Well, what
takes
they
on
say,
the-
what's realistic? That's what you got to think of. What's realistic? They say all the good things, but what is realistic out of them all? Will it work? That's what you got.
What's realistic is expanding on what we have here. What's you know, the reason Biden is a good choice is because he knows where the Obama bodies have all been buried and where all that stuff is, where it worked. I mean, it's a continuation of expanding that healthcare system that they started doing with the Obamacare. and you really shouldn't call it Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act. But when Biden comes in, he can actually expand on the Affordable Care Act, which Trump wasn't able to dismantle. He's tried to dismantle it. He has not been dismantling it. And I don't think Biden's a very sexy candidate at all. I think that he has a lot of worries too. I'm worried about him. But the truth is, he's somebody who's going to continue to work with programs that have already been in place, that he was part of putting together over 8 years of being vice president. So I think he's kind of the best shot at the moment. I think Bernie comes in, and I don't see how he compromises and gets things done across both sides.
What if Bernie comes in as like a vice?
What's that?
A vice president.
Yeah. In Georgia, I do agree that Bernie is forced to play the game and is a third party candidate. And again, like I did vote for Bernie several years ago, but damn, we can.
I honestly think he could help, but maybe I just don't know enough.
No, I like the things Bernie says. I don't like the things Bernie does. Which, you look at and you're like, okay, he opened a library and a post office. Like, I don't, he's on the outskirts. It'd be like getting Jesse Ventura to come in and be president. Like, he's an outlier. And what sucks is that we're stuck in a two-party system. But the two-party system, again, is like that car. It's too far down the road. You can't put the wheels back on it. Like, this thing has just kind of been set. There's no steering wheel.
Has to be better than Trump. So.
Yeah. I know. And what George is saying is legitimate. Like, Biden is the reason that we have a lot of student loan debt. You can't bankrupt or file for bankruptcy on a student loan. One way or another, they're going to get their money. He did it to protect Sallie Mae. He did it to protect the loans. But what are you going to do? I mean, one thing at a time. I think right now what we're doing, and it sounds like a compromise because it is a compromise, you're voting between the two lesser evils. And I think Biden is a much, much, much lesser evil than what we have in there. So I think we get a Democratic nominee, we get him back in the presidency, and then we start trying to fix half of this trash that has been happening over the last 4 years.
How do you stop the right from voting for him again? Because they're just doing it out of pettiness, or I don't know.
I don't know. And
it's like their team. It's like a team, a football team or something. Instead of something that will help them.
Yeah, I don't know. And George, I love you, buddy, and we're having a little bit of a discussion in the chat, between the chat and my voice. And I love you, buddy. And he's saying that Bernie gives people hope for the future. Show me his freaking physical, please. Like, if Bernie's only going to last 2 more years, like, come on. The dude looks like freaking Saruman.
What about Biden? Jesus Christ.
Both these guys are completely, like, I'm tired of voting for old white dudes. Like, Bernie doesn't, he doesn't look like his ticker is going to get him there. And we'll see. I mean, if he gets like a really young VP candidate, then I'm like all in. I'm like, okay, good. They'll take over, because things like the heart attack absolutely concern me. But again, what concerns me more is getting a nominee in the Oval Office that can't get anything done because he's been outside of the system for too long.
Jonathan, you're an ageist, damn it.
Yeah, well, I am an ageist. But, and George is saying that Biden has dementia. Have you seen the guy in office, George? Have you seen the guy in office? He can't put sentences together.
I know, we're just watching an old man sort of decrease.
I don't like the situation we're in any more than you do, buddy. But hope's not going to carry us there. We need somebody who actually has plans and knows where, again, the bodies are.
Well, whoever you get, you better be sure. That's all. You better be sure.
Guys, listen, man. You guys invited me on your podcast to get super depressed.
You're the ones that won't even help me if I choke.
I was like, this will be a cheerful. This will be a
wonderful,
cheerful from the pandemic.
Well,
no more politics. That's it. No more politics on this show.
I do have
George's still arguing that Biden won't bring the youth vote, but George, did you see the numbers in California on Bernie's youth vote? Like, nobody came out to vote. Like, the youth aren't voting for anybody. I hate to tell you, the youth aren't voting for anybody. It's the same situation we had with Charlie in the EU. Like, Brexit happened because youth didn't vote. You had a bunch of old people voting on
voted.
Right,
Charlie.
but the youth vote. I'm starting to think the youth vote doesn't exist. Here's when the youth vote existed: when Bill Clinton played his saxophone on MTV. That's when the freaking youth vote existed. It was 1990 freaking 2. That's when the youth vote existed. I mean, have you seen the youth vote?
I wasn't even
turn
born
out
then.
Since you can say like he wins the under 45 by 70%. Great, they like him. Do they vote? And do they vote in mass? The polls have shown in these primaries that they don't. They don't.
Basically, we need a DJ to be prime minister.
Or
that's the only way young people are going to vote.
How's this? A reality TV star. You can absolutely see how we got a reality TV star as a president.
Kanye West.
Yeah.
Like, this is psychotic. Like, we're voting on freaking Instagram. It's like an Instagram vote. I mean, this is literally a reality TV show at this point. We have a reality TV game show host, clown, as our president. And listen, I'm all for youth vote. Let's do it. If it takes the boomer remover to get the youth out to vote, just because there's more of us, let's do it, man. I mean, I think George and I are in agreement. We're Bernie fans, but the reality of the situation is not a Bernie reality. It's just not. It's sadly.
I know. I really hope that. But...
It's just too idealistic for the situation we're in right now. We are in a fucking shitter right now. We just need to get out of it.
I know. It's
and by the time we're out of it and we're ready for a candidate like Bernie, he'll have been dead 3 years. Like, sure, because he has another heart. I mean, let's just stop for old ass people.
So what I've learned today is we're running out of toilet roll.
Yeah. Sports are gone.
All gone.
They're gone. No, or they're on.
Coronavirus has taken over the world. YouTube would not help me if I choked, which was probably number one to me.
I thought you said YouTube, as in like, I think that actually would.
No, they would help. YouTube would help, but YouTube would not.
Maybe next episode I should bring my first aid book up here and read how to save somebody who's in a wheelchair if they require medical assistance.
But how would you do it then? Because you can't really touch people. What do? You have to wear a suit?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, as of right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right.
So, just for reference here, have you guys been paying attention to the live updates on how many total coronavirus cases are worldwide? Just for reference, as things progress so fast, like last week I think there was one case in Canada, and now today I'm just on the site now.
I've been going on to the Independent,
Yeah,
I think they've been taken over by someone else because they're acting like the Express at the moment, and that's all they need to do.
So luckily, at 2:17 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time on March the 18th, there are no new cases in Canada right now.
Okay, so
today,
stem the tide.
Canada right now has 0 new cases.
That's what we're going to need. If we're going to catch up to test enough people, that's what we need.
Yeah, so United States have 1,225 new cases today.
So who's top of the league now?
Top of the leaderboard is Spain.
Spain? Wow.
Yeah. So let's rename it. No, I'm kidding.
So, Spain has 2,000 new cases today. Germany's number 2 with 1,900, and USA is number 3 with 1,225.
And your top goal scorer, the Corona.
Yes, and UK is in number 5 with 676 cases today.
Charlie, you got some work to do, buddy.
What am I going to do? What am I doing?
Canada is in 106th place, I think, is what it says.
Wow.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, we were talking about these numbers of you got the most confirmed cases, but at the end of the day, if there aren't enough tests to actually confirm, like we can't, then that's what the whole social
These are
distancing
tests
is
from
about.
hospitals, though. They're not tests from the house.
I know.
Yeah?
I know that they're the ones who are able to test, but how many people are out there,
that
like the three of us, who might have it but aren't showing signs?
We could have it.
We could. Yeah. So as of right now, Canada has only had 8 deaths. I say only, but that's still a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You won't be relegated.
We have had 12 people recovered, and currently there are 578 ongoing cases.
Well, I think at the end of the day, this stuff, you guys have seen the exponential charts. I think we're looking at, by the end of the day, not today, but by the end of this entire thing, we're looking at millions of people who, I mean, absolutely been affected by the number of people who are going to die over the next few months. This is going to be a generational shift. This is going to be World War II. This is going to be a lot of people being removed for, you know, and a lot of them are going to be an older generation, but just try not to hang out with people who are in that risk demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, being in a wheelchair, I'm saving lives.
Yeah.
Charlie, you bring us so much joy. You're always saving lives.
Thank you.
Yeah, Charlie always saves lives.
That. I do, just by talking, and it just saves someone's life.
I'm going to forgive you for coming all the way to the U.S. and not hanging out with me because you were too busy hanging out with what's his name, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I'm sorry, because I only had like 3 days, and not even that, to be there, so I had no choice. You could always come to London. You do have a surname named London.
Yeah, well, I'll wait for all this to blow over, and then maybe I'll come over.
That's what they all say.
I saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a restaurant once. I wanted to walk over to him and be like, "Hey, we're friends with Charlie," and just see if he would recognize me.
And then he'd be like,
or remember you. I'd be like, "Hey, you're Charlie's friend." He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "You're Charlie's friend, Charlie Armour. Come on, like he did your music. He hung out with you at a gas station. I saw the video."
Yeah, jumped out of a van.
He was in a van with you, making music with you.
The trick was I was behind the van because they couldn't put me in the van. That was the idea, putting me in the van.
Oh my gosh.
And then I go down that steep ramp. I don't know how that would work.
They should have put you on like a gunner seat. You know what I mean? Like on the side of the van. Like
I wanted them to put me on the roof and just
oh my gosh,
tie
push
me
you
up.
off. Oh, I was
they go through an overpass.
Well, my idea was they do their little dances and then they leave me because they didn't pay for the petrol, and then I have to pay at the end.
Oh, that's hilarious! They just ditch you with the bill.
Yeah,
and they took a bunch of stuff for the convenience store.
That would have been good.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that video and I was like, that little son of a. He never hit me up. Okay.
I was there for 2 days. Oh, that's why you haven't been in touch. Okay, I get it.
Okay.
Like, okay.
That's why you're not. That's why you're not going to save me if I choke.
I'm going to try. It's my own ineptitude.
He's going to smack you in the back.
I'm going to burp you like a baby.
That is half-assed.
I'm going to burp you like a baby.
Well, you're just going to pick me up in that.
Yeah.
Slap my back.
Yeah. I'll do my best. I'll hang you upside down by your ankles. Shake you out. See if any quarters fall out.
No quarters.
All right.
I'm disabled. I'm on benefits. I'm a musician. There's going to be no quarters.
You have social health care. You guys will be fine. I'm the one who's screwed.
You're fine at the moment.
I've got a psychotic clown in charge of my country, and I'm sitting here on a sinking ship. You guys will be fine.
Well, when it's all over, you can all move to London, all of you.
Yeah.
It will turn into the US, though. Just saying. Or we just go to Canada and live on your island, Andrew.
Yeah, you're always welcome here. If
Okay.
you really feel like it, we have red sand if you're into that kind of stuff.
And you
Red
did-
sand, is that kind of cocaine?
No. No. That's actual red sand. It's from from the iron deposits in our soil.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we're just over an hour now, so I think we should probably
This is the
end
longest
this. Yeah,
one.
this is the longest one yet.
I'm
So-
sorry, guys. I kind of gabbed.
No, I
it's-
like
it's
it.
okay.
It's
That-
good. You're filling empty air.
Sorry about that, guys.
So
We never know what we can talk about. We just go blabbering on.
Well,
So-
we had a lot to talk about this
Yeah.
one. The world is in a pretty weird place.
yeah,
we
we're-
did
we're
talk
in a
about
really-
politics, and
really
we didn't get too angry.
really strange place right now.
Yeah, we just.
But thank you for joining us.
Of
yeah,
course.
We
Thank you guys
appreciate
for
that.
having me.
Yeah.
It's been really good. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be here next Wednesday for another wonderful episode. Hopefully things will be more cheery than today.
Yeah, we're gonna have Corey Feldman on. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
Oh please.
He just points at you.